I'm gonna do whatever the I want to do whenever, however I want to do it. You know why? Because I'm the freest in the world. Right. End of discussion.
Well, it's official. The freest in the world is now locked up. Hey yo, thanks for tuning into The Source, your source for celebrity news.
My. Diddy got locked up tonight. Woo! And it feels so damn right. You got me saying, my. Diddy got locked up tonight. Woo!
Yes, he did. According to sources, prosecutors have confirmed that Sean P. Diddy Combs was arrested on Monday night in Manhattan, and on Tuesday morning, his indictment, which was previously sealed, was unsealed to reveal that Diddy has been charged with 3 federal charges of racketeering conspiracy, trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Now, after Diddy's charges were made public, his attorney Mark Ignafio spoke in front of the courthouse and said that Diddy's going to be pleading not guilty, and he's also going to be fighting like hell to try to get his client released from custody. Alright, so when discussing how Diddy was doing behind bars, Mark Ignafio also said that Diddy's spirits are good and he's confident. Alright, so according to the 14-page indictment, the prosecution alleges that P. Diddy turned his business empire into a criminal enterprise in which he and his associates engaged in trafficking, forced labor, and other nefarious crimes. The indictment also alleges that P. Diddy threatened and coerced women to fulfill his sexual desires, and on numerous occasions, starting around 2009, assaulted various women by striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at them, and kicking them. Now, whether or not Diddy and his attorneys really have a plan to fight this case, we don't know.
I want to talk about the plan you've been working on.
I ain't working on no plan, Ray.
I know you. And I know when you got something brewing. I know it.
What I got brewing? What I got brewing, Ray? You tell me.
Now, according to the grand jury charges, it says that for decades, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, the defendant abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To do so, Combs relied on the employees, resources, and the influence of the multifaceted business empire that he led and controlled, creating a criminal enterprise whose members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Okay, just based on that first paragraph, I can already tell you that Kid Cudi is going to be a witness, because he's going to tell every one of those jurors how P. Diddy blew up his car. There goes your arson. Alright, so the indictment goes on to say that Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka everything else, basically runs his companies out of New York and Los Angeles, and he uses a bunch of different company names, including Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global. It also talks about Revolt TV, his marketing agency, and his other companies. Which brings us to paragraph 3, which says, at all times relevant to this indictment, the defendant engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. This abuse was, at times, verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial ex-workers. At times, Combs and others acting in his direction made arrangement for women and commercial ex-workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. Physical abuse by Sean Combs, the defendant, was recurrent and widely known, on numerous occasions from at least in or about 2009 and continuing for years. Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. Listen, we all know this is true just based on the Cassie video. Now, it goes on to say that these assaults were at times witnessed by others, including one instance at a Los Angeles hotel in or about March 2016, which was captured on video and later publicly reported where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman as she was attempting to leave. See, Cassie got him. When a member of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff member to ensure silence. Combs' violence was also not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. Alright, so really quick, let's pause here because I know mad people have questions because they're like, yo, source, I thought they said that they couldn't use the video to lock up P. Diddy because the statute of limitations had passed from the time that he beat up Cassie. You know something? You're right. They can't use this to lock him up for beating up Cassie, but they can use the video to support the fact that P. Diddy likes to bribe people to cover up said abuse. Alright, so let's continue. It goes on to say, Sean Combs, the defendant, used the Combs business, including certain employees, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial sex. Those employees, including security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, and other close associates, acted as Combs intermediaries, and their conduct was facilitated and assisted by Combs' control of the Combs business. Oh, we gotta stop right here real quick, because even though I don't know this for a fact, just reading this is telling me that Roger Bonds, Diddy's security guard, done already copped a plea. Yes, I can almost guarantee it, even though I don't know it for a fact, because if he didn't, Roger Bonds could be looked at as an accomplice. And since we all know that Roger Bonds is not trying to go down for no dirt that Diddy done, I can almost guarantee you that Roger Bonds is going to be up there on that witness stand. And we all know that there's no love lost between Roger Bonds and Diddy because Diddy didn't give Roger Bonds any money to bond his son out of jail. Alright, so next the indictment goes on to discuss the Combs enterprise. And it says, from at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka everything else, the defendant and others, known and unknown, were members and associates of a criminal organization, the Combs Enterprise, or the Enterprise. Ooh, that sounds ominous. Anyway, it says, members and associates of the Combs Enterprise engaged in and or attempted to engage in, among other activities, ex-trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for the purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The Combs Enterprise, including its leadership, its members, and its associates, constituted an enterprise, as defined by Title 18 United States Code Section 1961-4. That is, a group of individuals associated in fact, although not a legal entity. The Combs Enterprise consisted of Sean Combs, the defendant, entities within the Combs business, including but not limited to Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs Global, individuals employed by and associated with the Combs business, and others known and unknown. Okay, so just based on this statement right here, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that not only can we expect to see Diddy's drug mule Brandon up on that witness stand, but we can also expect to see Lorianne Gibson, because Lorianne's been down with Bad Boy forever, but Lorianne Gibson is not going down with the Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so the indictment goes on to say, the Combs Enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members functioned as a continuing unit for the common purpose of achieving the objectives of the Combs Enterprise. The Combs Enterprise was engaged in and its activities affected interstate and foreign commerce. The Combs Enterprise operated in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. At all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka everything else, the defendant, was the leader of the Combs Enterprise. Sean Combs, the defendant, and others known and unknown participated in unlawful and other activities related to the conduct of the Combs Enterprise's affairs. These individuals included certain Combs business employees, such as members of Combs security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and high-ranking supervisors, as well as other close associates of Combs. Alright, so do you guys remember the cook that P. Diddy fired because he said she stole his watch, and she said that he used to make her watch him do like the freak-offs? I guarantee you, she is up on the witness stand. And when the prosecution gets her cooking up on that witness stand, she's getting ready to blow up everybody's spots who was in cahoots with Diddy. See, that's why you don't mess with the underpaid cooks, the housekeepers, and the house cleaners, because they see everything that's going on in the crib, and they know everybody who's been in and out of that house. I mean, she's gonna get up on that witness stand and she's gonna be like, I specifically remember Meek Mills was at the house on December 2nd, 2014. And then Meek Mill's gonna end up coming to the court and he's gonna have to act like this is divorce court and he's divorcing Diddy.
Well, Your Honor, Tamir tries to control the way I dress, for one. He says that he wants me to, quote-unquote, match his fly.
Is he failing in the fly department?
Your Honor, this is the thing with Cedric. Going back to me being a public figure, I'm a brand. And I'm really, like, I have to move and do and say and speak in a certain type of way.
Alright, so the next section of the indictment says purposes of the Combs enterprise. And then it goes on to say, the purpose of the Combs enterprise included the following. Operating a global business in the media, entertainment, and lifestyle industries, including, among other things, record labels, a record recording studio, an apparel line, an alcoholic spirits business, a marketing agency, and a television network and media company. B. Preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power, reputation, and brand of Sean Combs, the defendant, as a musician, entrepreneur, and figure in the entertainment industry. C. Enriching members and associates of the enterprise, including its leader Combs, and, in particular, those who demonstrated loyalty to Combs and willingness to conceal his crimes. D. Preserving, protecting, promoting, and enhancing the power of Combs' enterprise, including the power of its leader Combs, through violence, use of firearms, threats of violence, coercion, and verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. E. Fulfilling the personal desires of Combs, particularly those related to Combs' sexual gratification, including through the exploitation of women and the use of commercial ex-workers. F. Enabling Combs and other members and associates of Combs' enterprise to engage in unlawful acts of violence, including sexual violence, sexual trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics distribution, and other crimes, and concealing the commission of such acts. G. Securing absolute loyalty from members of the Combs enterprise, including through acts of violence and threats. And H. Protecting the Combs enterprise and its members and associates, including Combs, from detection and prosecution by law enforcement authorities through acts of intimidation, manipulation, bribery, and threats of retaliation against individuals who witnessed the crimes committed by the members and associates of the enterprise. Listen, I can't front. They got your boy P. Diddy over here in these documents sounding like he's Nino Brown from New Jack City.
This fucking shit. He's a genius, man. Pure, unadulterated, man. Would you please shut the fuck up before you have a seizure? But there's one thing that does concern me, though. That curry goat eating skinny ass fat Smitty. Time to see that fat bitch alone.
Drop a bomb, baby.
Yeah, you gonna be hanging with it. I told you, this thing is bigger than Nino Brown, and I gotta listen. Order. If I'm going down, I'm taking a whole lot of people.
Order in the court. Order in the court.
Excuse my lawyer, please.
Your Honor, may counsel approach the bench?
Stone, what's going on, man? I don't know what's going on.
The court is not pleased with this application. You do understand that by pleading guilty to a lesser charge, the court, under the law, can impose a sentence of 3 years to life, with parole eligibility after 12 months. Do you understand? Is that clear?
Absolutely.
Defendant is
How the hell could you let something like this happen?
We wanted some of the crack off the streets.
Warning.
I wanted Nino too, you know that. He gave up his connections and I wanted to make the deal.
This court is now adjourned.
What? All he gets is a year? Nah, this shit ain't happening. I should have killed you myself, bitch.
See, that's the difference, you and me. This is over with. You can come and work for me.
Listen, y'all know me. I have to do something to break the monotony. I mean, this is a whole lot of reading. Anyhow, the next section of the indictment says means and methods of the enterprise. And it goes on to say, among the means and methods by which Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka the defendant, and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise conducted and participated in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise included the following. Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended X acts with male commercial ex-workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate produced X performances that Combs arranged, directed, and touched himself to, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial ex-workers across state lines and internationally. Freak-offs occur regularly, sometimes lasting multiple days and often involving multiple commercial ex-workers. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Sometimes unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of the victims engaging in the X acts with commercial ex-workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and the drug use. I mean, come on, man. How freaky deaky can you be that you need to get an IV to, like, replenish your electrolytes after you get down? I mean, that's a lot. Because for most people, a little Pedialyte or like a little Gatorade will do. But apparently, not for Diddy. I am done. Alright, so it goes on to say, members and associates of the Combs enterprise, including high-ranking supervisors, security staff, household staff, personal assistants, and other Combs business employees, facilitated the freak-offs by, among other things, booking hotel rooms for freak-offs, stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to try to mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial ex-workers, and Combs to and from the freak-offs, resupplying Combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay for the commercial ex-workers, and rescheduling the delivery of IV fluids. In or about March 2024, during searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized various freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. I mean, damn, how oiled up do you need to be? How lubricated do you need to be? These dudes weren't over there doing freak-offs, they were over there like doing the slip and slide. I mean, how are you gonna like have 1,000 bottles of baby oil in a crib, but you couldn't make good on the $1 million scholarship fund that you promised Howard University? This greasy ninja. I mean, I could just see him over there now during one of his freak-offs. Where's my baby oil? I need my baby oil. Where's my baby oil, biatch? Anyhow, Combs subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse to cause the victims to engage in freak-offs. Combs maintained control over his victims through, among other things, physical violence, promises of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victim's appearance, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from freak-offs, Combs, among other things, hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims at times by their hair. These assaults often resulted in injuries that took days or weeks to heal. Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods, including if they resisted participating in freak-offs. Victims believed that they could not refuse Combs' demands without risking their financial or job security, or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse. Combs also used sensitive, embarrassing, and incriminating recordings that he had made during freak-offs as collateral to ensure the continued obedience and silence of the victims. Members and associates of Combs' enterprise, including Combs' security personnel, at times carried firearms. On more than one occasion, Combs himself carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims of or witnesses to his abuse. In or about March 2024, during searches of Combs' residence in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California, law enforcement seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, as well as a drum magazine. See, right there, the feds done got him again. Because if you're a legal gun owner in America, there's no need to scratch off those serial numbers. Anyhow, let's continue. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise enable Combs' control over victims by following his directions regarding financial payments to victims, advancing or suppressing the victim's career opportunities, and acquiring the controlled substances Combs used to keep the victims compliant. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise at times witness Combs' violence towards the victims or the victims' injuries caused by Combs without intervening. Instead, members and associates of the Combs enterprise help to conceal the violence and abuse by, among other things, assisting Combs in monitoring and preventing victims from leaving locations such as hotels or Combs' residences. These occasions included instances which a victim was required to remain in hiding, sometimes for several days at a time, to recover from injuries Combs inflicted without being publicly observed. Members and associates of the Combs enterprise also assisted Combs in locating and contacting victims who attempted to flee his abuse. When employees, witnesses to his abuse, or others threatened Combs' authority or reputation, Combs and members and associates of the enterprise engaged in acts of violence, threats of financial or reputational harm, and verbal abuse. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson. In addition, on multiple occasions, Combs threw both objects and people, as well as hit, dragged, choked, and shoved others. When Combs' authority or reputation was threatened by the possibility of negative publicity or legal or law enforcement action against him, including in or about late 2023, following public allegations of Combs' crimes, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise pressured witnesses and victims, including through attempted bribery, to stay silent and not report what they experienced and knew to law enforcement. On phone calls, Combs and other members and associates of the enterprise, among other things, provided these victims and witnesses with a false narrative of events in an effort to conceal Combs' crimes. Combs caused these calls to be recorded on at least 2 occasions. Alright, so as I'm sitting here reading through this, I'm starting to think that P. Diddy may be what we call an idiot savant, because this dude is dumb as hell. Because who records the cover-up phone calls? I mean, you don't need that information for your records, okay? If you bribe somebody and you tell them to hush hush, you don't need a copy for like later reference. Like, listen, do you remember when I bribed you? This is crazy, because you record the phone call when somebody's bribing you. I mean, for real, it'd be a different story if like this document said that the feds recorded him, but this ninja done recorded himself. I am done. Alright, so the next section goes on to say, the racketeering conspiracy. And it says, from at least in or about 2008 through on or about the date of the filing of this indictment in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, the defendant, and others known and unknown being persons employed by and associated with the Combs enterprise described in paragraphs 6 through 12 of this indictment, an enterprise engaged in and the activities of which affected interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly combined, conspired, confederated, and agreed together and with each other to violate the racketeering laws of the U.S., to wit, Title 18 United States Code Section 1962C, that is, to conduct and participate directly and indirectly in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, as that term is defined in Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1961-1 and 1961-5, consisting of A. Multiple acts involving kidnapping, chargeable under the following provisions of state law: California Penal Code 207, kidnapping; California Penal Code 21A664, attempt; California Penal Code 31, aiding and abetting; and California Penal Code 182, conspiracy. B. Multiple acts involving arson, chargeable under the following provisions of state law: California Penal Code 451, arson; California Penal Code 21A664, attempt; California Penal Code 31, aiding and abetting; and California Penal Code 182, conspiracy. C. Multiple acts involving bribery, chargeable under the following provisions of state law: California Penal Code 137A, bribery of a witness; California Penal Code Code 21A664, attempt, California Penal Code 31, aiding and abetting, and California Penal Code 182, conspiracy. D. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1512 related to tampering with a witness, victim, or an informant. E. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1589 and 2 relating to forced labor. F. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18 U.S. Code Sections 1591 and 2 relating to X-trafficking. G. Multiple acts indictable under Title 18 U.S. Code Section 2421 and 2422 and 2 relating to the transportation and inducement to travel for the purpose of prostitution and other illegal sexual activities. And H. Multiple offenses involving the possession with intent to distribute or distribution of narcotics and controlled substances, including cocaine, oxycodone, alprazolam, methamphetamines, bromo, demethoxyphenylethylamine, gamma-hydroxybutyric acid, and ketamine in violation of Title 21 United States Code Sections 841 and 846, distribution and possession with intent to distribute and conspiracy to do the same, and Title 18 U.S. Code Section 2, aiding, abetting, and willfully causing. Yo, I don't even know what half of this stuff is. What is this stuff that Diddy was over there using? What is demethoxyphenylethylamine? I mean, that right there just sounds crazy. Yo, if you know what the heck that is, please let me know in the comments below. Now, the indictment continues on to say, it was part of the conspiracy that Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, the defendant, agreed that a conspirator would commit at least 2 acts of racketeering activity in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise. See right here? This right here supports Little Rod's lawsuit, because in his lawsuit, he basically said that Diddy was on some like, you gotta go out and commit these crimes, and then after he committed crimes like going out to solicit prostitution for Diddy, Diddy was like, okay, now I feel comfortable assaulting you. Oh my goodness, P. Diddy is a little devious devil. Alright, so the next section of the indictment says notice of special sentencing factor. And it goes on to say, from at least in or about 2009 up to and including in or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, as part of his agreement to conduct and participate in the conduct of the affairs of the Combs enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity, Sean Combs, the defendant, agreed to, in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, advertise, maintain, patronize, and solicit by any means a person, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that the means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described in Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1591E2 and any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial X act in violation of Title 18 United States Code Section 1591A1 and B1. Alright, so the next section goes on to say count 2, X-trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. The grand jury further charges from at least in or about 2009 up to and including in or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, the defendant, in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, provided, obtained, advertised, maintained, patronized, and solicited by any means a person, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact, the means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described in Title 18 U.S. State Code Section 1591E2 and any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial X act and attempted, aided, and abetted and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and maintained a person, victim 1, which we're all assuming is Cassie, and attempted, aided, and abetted and willfully caused victim 1 to engage in commercial X acts, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that victim 1, aka Cassie, was engaging in commercial X acts as a result of force, fraud, and coercion. Count 3, transportation to engage in peacestitution. The grand jury further charges from at least in or about 2009 up to and including in or about 2024 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, the defendant, knowingly transported an individual in interstate and foreign commerce with the intent that the individual engage in peacestitution and attempted, aided, and abetted and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs transported, aided, and abetted and willfully caused the transportation of female victims and commercial ex-workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions with the intent that they engage in peacestitution. Yo, can you please peep the date on count 3? Because this tells me that if he was doing this up until 2024, this means that even after the Cassie lawsuit and even after the feds raided his crib, this dude was still over there having freak-offs. Oh my goodness, this dude right here. And then, the craziest part about it is that in order to try to throw us and the feds off of his trail, this dude would take that little mountain bike out and take a ride through Miami. Wow, Diddy, wow. Listen, I always knew that Diddy was a scumbag, but I did not know that Diddy was so dumb. But you want to know who does know that Diddy's mad dumb? Clive Davis. Because I don't know if you've ever watched the show The Sopranos, but do you remember Uncle Junior? And when the feds came after Uncle Junior was like acting like he couldn't remember nothing. He was senile, he had Alzheimer's, he was not running the mob. Well, it appears that now that the feds have nabbed Diddy and taken him to jail, Clive Davis is over there pulling on Uncle Junior. Watch this.
A lot of people are curious about the status of P. Diddy.
Status of what?
P. Diddy. Diddy.
The status of puppy.
What do you make of that situation? No comment from Clive Davis on P. Diddy. Mr. Davis, you are a major influence on the career of P. Diddy. Have you spoken to him since the federal raid?
Yes.
Have you spoken to Sean Combs? Any comment, Mr. Davis? Any comments about Diddy? He credits you as one of his mentors.
Oh my goodness, Clive Davis was just over there throwing one of his celebrity parties a few months ago. And now that P. Diddy's been picked up by the feds, Clive Davis is over there acting like he's got Alzheimer's. I am done. They were like, what do you think about P. Diddy? And Clive was like, Diddy who? But it just goes to show you that Clive Davis knows how to play the game. And when the feds come sniffing around Clive Davis because of Diddy, Clive Davis ain't gonna remember nothing. He's gonna be like, who's Clive Davis? Alright, so the next section says forfeiture allegations, and it goes on to say, as a result of committing the offense alleged in count 1 of this indictment, Sean Combs, aka the defendant, shall forfeit to the U.S. pursuant to Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1963 any and all interest the defendant acquired or maintained in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1962, any and all interest in securities of, claims against, and property or contractual rights of any kind affording a source of influence over the enterprise named and described herein, which the defendant established, operated, controlled, conducted, and participated in the conduct of in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1962, and any and all property constituting and derived from proceeds obtained directly and indirectly said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in the U.S. currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. Okay, so basically the feds are saying anything that you got, money, houses, property, whatever you got during the time that we're alleging that you committed these crimes is going right back to the government, baby. Right here, the feds are saying you can trust that the minute that a jury finds your black behind guilty, Diddy, not only are we going to repossess all your possessions, but we're also going to seize all your bank accounts. And anything that you acquired after 2009 during the commission of these crimes, oh boy, is coming right back to us. Alright, so let me continue. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 3 of the indictment, Sean Combs, aka the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States pursuant to Title 18 U.S. Code Section 2428 any and all property, real and personal, constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of said offense, and any and all property, real or personal, that was used or intended to be used to commit or facilitate the commission of said offense, and Title 18 United States Code Section 981A1C and Title 28 United States Code Section 2461, any and all property, real and personal, that constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense, including but not limited to the sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. Alright, so after that, the indictment basically just talks about substitute asset provision, and it basically says that even if Diddy transferred like the title, deeds, bank accounts, or anything else to his kids or his mother or anybody else, the feds can still go after those assets. So, Diddy's attempt at hiding his assets in his kid's name and his mom's name and everybody else's name is not going to work this time because the feds intend to find every dime. Welp, there you have it. That's the entire indictment that may just bring down P. Diddy. And guess what? It looks like it was brought to you courtesy of Cassie Ventura. Wow. I mean, it really looks like my girl was like, okay, you got one in when you whipped my behind in that hallway, but I'm getting ready to bring down your entire empire, and while I'm at it, I'm gonna take $30 million extra on the side. Checkmate. Listen, let me know what you think about Diddy's indictment. Do you think that a jury is gonna find him guilty? Let me know in the comments below. And hey yo, thanks for tuning into The Source, your source for celebrity news. Peace.